I thought I would come on with an update with my mom's health stuff. And I will just go one at a time with the doctors. If you're new here, my mom has multiple sclerosis, primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And after her big attack in 2010, that put her at the health status she is at currently with her MS. She's, knock on wood, healthy. Like, we protect her greatly with illness. Fortunately, if she does get sick, it is super minor, lasts a day. She's on antidepressants, been on antidepressants a very long time. But otherwise, knock on wood, healthy. She has genetically high cholesterol. Her dad had it. I mean, she eats nothing on the list that gives you high cholesterol. Anyway, the backstory of that is, even though she has MS, has been healthy. And I mean, for all intent and purposes, she still is. We're just battling some things right now that started last summer. She got a UTI last summer, and that just triggered a whole bunch of changes in her health. And then it really came to a head in February, the big changes. So let's start it off with urology. So he's unsure if she has an overactive bladder because with all of her frequent wakings at night, for example, in a 9-hour span, she woke 13 times wanting to go on her bedside commode. And we have to help her because of the knee pain and her arthritis pain, which I'll get to in a second. So she's absolutely exhausted. We're exhausted. She's in a lot of pain from all of that movement on her arthritis. But it could be the sleep apnea she might have, which I'll get to in a second. We had to track for 3 days her fluid intake and output on a chart, as well as tracking times and what she was drinking and things like that. And then she has to do a sample to send to diagnostics, and she has her follow-up visit in a week or two. We might have to reschedule it though, to just really define what's going on with her. Is she having chronic UTIs? Is it an overactive bladder? Does she still have bladder crystals? We don't know. In the meantime, he did put her on a medication. It was not the medication he wanted to put her on for overactive bladder, but her insurance denied the first one and the second one he wanted. So third one was the major runner-up that they approved, that we could see a difference in 8 weeks. And if there's no difference in 8 weeks, it's not working. But she might be having a side effect where it's actually increasing her bathroom attempts because her bladder is holding on to the fluid so much that she's not able to fully release it. So she's trickling more than releasing. So on Monday, we're calling the doctor to go, hey, does this sound like a side effect that she shouldn't be having? Because the goal is to not wake so much and need to go on the toilet so much, daytime and nighttime. But she has to get imaging of her kidneys, her bladder, and an abdominal section. She gets that done this week. Or does she? I won't lie. I don't think so. I think I'm mistaking it for a different appointment she has, because she has to do those scans with a full bladder, and she never knows when she has a full bladder. It's complicated. We're trying to figure it out. Keep you posted. But that's where we're at with the urologist. Now for the pulmonologist who handles the sleep problem. So our Venn diagram is it the wanting to pee making her wake, or is she waking and then deciding she wants to pee? The sleep apnea doctor, says it's really common for those who have sleep apnea. There's some people who just, awake and go back to sleep, but she awakes and fully awakes, and then her brain goes, time for bed, let's go to the bathroom, every single time, which kind of times out with a sleep cycle. So she might not have overactive bladder. It's the sleep apnea just resetting her brain to go, let's go to the bathroom. It's time for bed. Kind of like a Groundhog's Day every hour. So she did a sleep study at home 2 weeks ago. Time has lost meaning. And turned that in, was supposed to have a follow-up this past week, but they never received the results from the sleep test. So we have to reschedule it, the follow-up. And then we actually did, it's going to be a telehealth because we don't need to go in. And then the doctor will tell us if that home test was enough or if he wants to do it at a center because he really wants to see the sleep apnea and do extra tests with MS. Now, I'm not sure why. We've never had a problem with sleep in her MS, but that doesn't mean things don't change. But I'm really hoping they don't want a sleep center because her anxiety about that is sky high. I mean, whatever has to happen, has to happen. But that's where we're at with that. And then finally, the rheumatologist. So she was diagnosed with arthritis in her shoulder and her back and her knee. And then another doctor disagreed. And then her new primary partially agreed and said, let's get you to a rheumatologist. And went to the rheumatologist. And the main concern, what is changing her lifestyle, is her knee. It's so painful now, she cannot walk. We are transporting her in a wheelchair, where before she used a walker. And if we went out in public, was with a wheelchair, but at home was with a walker. To go from like the bed to the bedside commode, or to get into the walker or into the wheelchair from the recliner, is sobbing, agonizing pain for her. And that has progressed quickly, but it began in February. So when the rheumatologist saw the x-ray of her knee and saw that she is on prescription strength ibuprofen and low-dose tramadol, which is a pain reliever as well, he said you should have no pain based upon the imaging of your knee, where the arthritis is there, but not to the point where it's debilitating pain, that the pain relievers are barely even taking the edge off. So he thinks there's something else brewing. Does the arthritis exist in her back and her shoulder? Sure, but he doesn't, and it exists in her knee, but he thinks there's something else going on. And he wants to test for autoimmune disorders because she has MS. Her mom, my grandma, had psoriasis. So he feels that she is just genetically autoimmune compromised, and he thinks this pain is an autoimmune issue. So she did some blood work, and he wants to get an MRI of her knee to see what's going on, because he said the pain level to the point where it's debilitating her doesn't make sense with what the imaging for arthritis is showing, and wants to put any home physical therapy on hold until we know what's going on, so we don't aggravate a situation. And then her primary wants to do a bone density test for giggles. I don't know why, they just called it in. So that's where we're at. We are at a lot of questions still. We have a lot of humdingers, a lot of doctors going, And of course, everything is a process. You go from this appointment to this test to this appointment, and by the time you get something figured out, it could be months. And that's the unfortunate part, where you get no relief from anything during this process. But that's what's going on. Yeah. It's like a hurry up and wait. All right, well, thanks for listening to me blab. Thanks for always being our cheerleader and rooting for us and sending us positive thoughts and sharing your experiences. I know we're not alone out there. It can be a lonely feeling, and I know, unfortunately, others are going through this or have gone through this, and nobody should. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.